Ambassador Jinwoo Park sat in his chair and tried not to show how angry he was getting. The big alien with the tentacles was talking again, and every word made Jinwoo want to punch something. But humans did not punch things in the Galactic Council. Humans were supposed to be nice and patient. Your people must move away from our space, the Zelkari alien said. His tentacles moved like angry snakes. Humans are making problems for us. Jinwoo looked at the data pad his assistant gave him. Another human farm had been attacked last week. 3 families dead. The council had called it a small problem, and told humans to be more careful where they built their homes. The big meeting room was full of aliens from different worlds. Most of them looked bored. A few looked happy to see humans getting blamed for everything again. Jinwoo had been doing this job for 10 years, and it was always the same story. Something bad happened, and somehow it was humanity's fault. Ambassador Park, said the council leader, a tall blue alien with too many eyes, what does Earth say about this? Jinwoo stood up slowly. He had given this same speech so many times he could say it in his sleep. Earth wants peace with all species. We will look into moving our colonies if needed. We ask for time to study the problem. The Zelkari alien made a sound like laughing, but mean. Always the same words from humans. You study and talk while real species suffer. Behind Jinwoo, Captain Dongminute Lee sat in the visitor area. The old soldier watched everything but said nothing. His small ship was parked outside with the other official human ships. 12 little patrol boats that could barely fight pirates, let alone real warships. Captain Lee had been in space for 30 years. He remembered when humans first joined the galaxy and everyone seemed happy to meet them. Now humans were the ones everyone called when there was trouble. Stop this war. Fix that trade problem. Give up your homes so other species could be happy. The meeting went on for hours. More aliens stood up to complain about humans. The Fikari said human traders were stealing their business. The Gromax said human colonies were too close to their hunting grounds. The Vectans said humans asked too many questions about their government. Jinwoo wrote notes and nodded and promised to tell Earth about every complaint. He did not mention that Earth already knew about all of these problems. Earth knew everything that happened to humans in space. Lieutenant Hai-Jin Kim, Jinwoo's assistant, passed him another message. This one made his hands shake a little. The Blue Scale Republic had accidentally destroyed a human medical ship. 50 doctors and nurses were dead. The Blue Scale said it was a mistake and offered to pay for the ship. Not the people. Just the ship. We must take a break, Jinwoo said suddenly. The council leader looked surprised but agreed. In the hallway, Captain Lee walked up to Jinwoo. Another accident, he asked quietly. Medical ship near Rigel, Jinwoo said. 50 dead. Captain Lee nodded slowly. He pulled out a small device and pressed a button. Somewhere in space, his communications officer would send a very short message to Earth. Just numbers and letters that looked like a mistake. How many more? Captain Lee asked. I don't know, Jinwoo said. But Admiral Choi is keeping count. They walked back into the meeting room. The aliens were laughing about something. Jinwoo sat down and tried to look calm, but inside he was thinking about all the humans who had died while he sat in meetings and made polite speeches. The council leader called for order. We will now vote on the Zelkari request. All in favor of moving human colonies from Sector 7. Tentacles and claws and strange alien hands went up around the room. Jinwoo counted them. 43 votes to make humans give up their homes. Again. Any opposed? The council leader asked. Jinwoo raised his hand. He was the only one. The motion passes, the council leader announced. Humans have 60 days to relocate all colonies from Sector 7. The Zelkari alien made that mean laughing sound again. Other aliens started talking to each other like the meeting was already over. They always did this. Make their decisions and then ignore humans completely. Jinwoo stood up. I need to contact Earth for instructions. Of course, the council leader said without looking at him. Humans always need to ask permission. More laughing from the aliens. Jinwoo walked out of the room with Captain Lee behind him. In the hallway, they could still hear the aliens making jokes about humans being weak and scared. 60 days, Jinwoo said. Won't matter, Captain Lee said quietly. On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Subin Choi sat in her office deep inside Earth's moon. The walls were covered with star maps and ship designs that officially did not exist. Her desk had a small box with 4 to 7 marks carved into it. Each mark was a human colony attacked, a human ship destroyed, or a human family killed while the Galactic Council talked about patience. A message appeared on her screen. New numbers from Captain Lee. She picked up her knife and carved the 48th mark into the box. Admiral Choi walked to her window and looked out at the space dock. It was empty except for a few maintenance ships. The aliens thought this was all humanity had. They were wrong. She pressed a button on her desk. Across the solar system, hidden doors began to open. The alarm woke up Communications Officer Nai John at 3 in the morning. She ran to her station and put on her headset. What she heard made her stomach feel sick. This is New Geneva Colony calling anyone who can hear us. They are bombing our schools. Our children are dead. Please help us. Nai's hands shook as she recorded the message. New Geneva was a farming world with 2 million people. Most of them were families who grew food to send to other human worlds. They had no weapons, no soldiers, just farmers and teachers and doctors. I need Admiral Choi right now, Nai said to her supervisor. 5 minutes later, Admiral Subin Choi was standing behind Nai's chair. The Admiral looked like she had not slept in days, but her eyes were sharp and angry. Play it again, Admiral Choi said. The voice from New Geneva was a woman crying as she talked. 6 different fleets came out of hyperspace at the same time. They did not ask us to surrender. They just started shooting. The school complex is gone. The hospital is burning. We are trying to get people to the evacuation ships. Admiral Choi closed her eyes. Who? Colonel Taiho Nam ran into the room with a data pad. Zelkari, Thakari, Vecton, Gromax, Spiral Claw, and Bluescale. They all worked together. This was planned, Admiral. How many dead? 14,000 so far. They hit the morning school assembly first. Then the medical center. Then the spaceport where people were trying to escape. Admiral Choi walked to the big screen that showed the whole galaxy. Little red dots marked every place where humans lived. New Geneva was flashing red like a warning light. What does the council say? She asked. Ambassador Park is requesting an emergency meeting, Colonel Nam said. The council says they need to investigate first. No military action until they vote on it. How long? 6 days. Admiral Choi laughed, but it was not a happy sound. 6 days. On the screen, another message came from New Geneva. This time it was a man's voice, and he sounded scared. Second wave incoming. They are targeting the evacuation ships. Repeat, they are shooting at the ships with our children on them. Nai started crying. She tried to stop but could not. These were human children being murdered while the council talked about investigations and votes. Admiral Choi put her hand on Nai's shoulder. Record everything. Every word, every scream, every death. The galaxy is going to hear all of it. Across the galaxy, Ambassador Jinwoo Park was shouting at the council leader. It was the first time anyone had seen a human lose his temper in the council chambers. They are killing children. Jinwoo yelled. Right now, while we sit here talking. The council leader looked bored. Ambassador Park, please control yourself. We must follow proper procedures. Procedures? Jinwoo could not believe what he was hearing. 14,000 humans are dead and you want procedures. The Zelkari representative stood up. His tentacles were moving in a way that meant he was happy. The humans chose to build their colony in disputed space. They knew the risks. Disputed by who? Jinwoo asked. You never claimed that space until yesterday. We are claiming it now, the Zelkari said. Your people can leave or stay and face the consequences. Jinwoo looked around the room. Most of the aliens were nodding like the Zelkari made sense. A few looked uncomfortable but said nothing. None of them looked like they cared that human children were dying. I am requesting immediate military assistance for our colony, Jinwoo said. The council leader shook his head. All military actions must be approved by vote. The earliest we can schedule a vote is next week. Next week? Jinwoo felt like he was going crazy. There won't be anyone left alive next week. Then perhaps your people should have thought of that before building where they were not wanted, said the Thakari representative. Jinwoo stared at the alien. For a moment, he wanted to jump across the room and strangle it with his bare hands. Instead, he stood up very slowly and walked toward the door. Where are you going? The council leader called after him. To contact Earth, Jinwoo said without turning around. This meeting is over. He walked out of the chamber and did not look back. Behind him, he could hear the aliens starting to laugh and talk like nothing important had happened. Captain Dongminute Lee was waiting in the hallway. How bad? He asked. They want us to wait for a vote, Jinwoo said. While our people die. Captain Lee nodded. He had expected this. He pulled out his communication device and sent a very simple message to Earth. Just 3 words, patience is finished. On Earth's moon, Admiral Choi received the message. She looked at her box with 48 marks carved into it. Then she picked up her knife and threw it across the room. It stuck in the wall next to a picture of her daughter, who lived on New Geneva Colony. She pressed a button on her desk. A voice answered immediately. This is Admiral Choi. Authorization code Omega 77. All Ghost Fleet commanders, wake up your ships. Are you sure? The voice asked. They are killing our children, Admiral Choi said. Humanity tried patience. Now they learn about justice. Across the solar system, in hidden bases inside asteroids and behind fake mining stations, lights began turning on. Ships that were bigger than anything the galaxy had ever seen started warming up their engines. The aliens thought they knew everything about humanity. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Admiral Crexton was having the best day of his life. His fleet had just finished destroying another human evacuation ship, and the screams from the radio made him happy. Humans were so weak and pathetic. They cried when they died instead of fighting like real warriors. Sir, we are picking up some strange readings, his sensor officer said. What kind of readings? Crexton asked. He was not worried. The humans only had small patrol ships, and most of those were on the other side of the galaxy. Hyperspace rifts opening all around us. But they are huge, sir. Much bigger than normal. Crexton looked at his screen. The hyperspace tiers were massive, like someone was ripping holes in space itself. Only the biggest ships needed rifts that large, and humans did not have big ships. The first ship came through the rift directly in front of them. Crexton's tentacles went stiff with shock. The human ship was 15 kilometers long. His own flagship was only 3 kilometers, and it was the biggest ship in his fleet. This human ship looked like it could eat his entire fleet for breakfast. This is Captain Sung-Ho Kang of the UES Retribution, a human voice said over the radio. Zelkari fleet, you have 30 seconds to surrender or be destroyed. Crexton started laughing. One ship against his entire fleet? Even if it was big, there was no way one ship could fight 300 vessels. Human, you are outnumbered, Crexton said into his radio. Surrender now and we might let some of you live. 20 seconds, Captain Kang said calmly. More ships were coming through the hyperspace rifts. Dozens of them. Each one was bigger than anything Crexton had ever seen. The human ships looked like metal mountains floating in space, covered with so many weapons that Crexton could not count them all. Impossible, he whispered. Humans only have patrol boats. 10 seconds, Captain Kang said. Crexton looked at his tactical officer. Fire everything at the big one. 300 Zelkari ships opened fire at the same time. Energy beams and missiles flew through space like a light show. All of them hit the human ship called Retribution. Nothing happened. The human ship did not even slow down. Time's up, Captain Kang said. The UES Retribution fired one weapon. Just one. A beam of light so bright it hurt to look at cut through space and hit Crexton's flagship. The entire front half of his ship simply disappeared, turned into vapor and floating metal. Crexton was sucked out into space as his ship fell apart around him. His last thought was that humans had been lying to everyone for a very long time. On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Minute G. Han stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance and watched her fleet destroy the Thakari home defense system. The aliens had built their defenses to stop normal ships that fought fair battles. Human ships did not fight fair. Jump us right next to their command station, she ordered. Her ship disappeared and reappeared inside the Thakari defense grid. The aliens barely had time to scream before the Vengeance's weapons turned their central command into glowing dust. Next target, Admiral Han said calmly. The Thakari had spent 200 years building the strongest defenses in their part of the galaxy. It took the human fleet 6 hours to turn it all into scrap metal. Commander Kyung-Soo Park was having similar success against the Vecton Collective. The aliens had sent their entire battle fleet to attack human colonies, which meant their home worlds were almost undefended. Sir, the Vecton are begging us to stop, his communications officer reported. Did they stop when our children begged? Commander Park asked. No, sir. Then keep firing. The Vecton Collective shipyards had been building warships for 3 centuries. It took Commander Park's fleet 40 minutes to reduce them all to floating debris. Back on Earth, Admiral Subin Choi watched the battle reports come in. Her Ghost Fleet was performing exactly as planned. For 300 years, humanity had been building these ships in secret. Every mining operation, every scientific survey, every request for worthless asteroids had been part of the plan. Status report, she asked Colonel Taiho Nam. Zelkari fleet destroyed. Thakari defenses eliminated. Vecton shipyards gone. Gromax surrendering. Spiral Claw forces retreating. Blue Scale Republic is requesting immediate ceasefire. Casualties? 0 human military losses. Enemy losses are approximately 90% of their combined fleets. Admiral Choi nodded. The Ghost Fleet had been designed for exactly this kind of war. No long battles, no heroic last stands, just overwhelming force applied precisely where it would do the most damage. What about the Galactic Council? She asked. Emergency session called. Most species are demanding to know where these ships came from. Let them wonder, Admiral Choi said. Open a channel to the entire galaxy. Every radio, every communication system, every screen in known space suddenly showed Admiral Han's face. She looked tired but determined, like a mother who had finally had enough of bullies picking on her children. To all species of the Galactic Council, she began. For 3 centuries, humanity has chosen patience over violence, diplomacy over war, peace over justice. We absorbed your insults, your attacks, and your contempt because we believed in a better way. The image switched to show the burning remains of New Geneva colony. Today you murdered our children while we begged you to follow your own laws. You laughed at our pain and celebrated our loss. You mistook our mercy for weakness and our restraint for fear. The image switched again to show the massive human fleet. That mistake ends now. Any species that threatens human civilians will face immediate and total military response. We will not negotiate, we will not compromise, and we will not show the patience you have abused for so long. Admiral Choi looked directly into the camera. Humanity tried to be your friends. Now you will settle for being our subordinates. The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. The war lasted 18 days. The galaxy would remember it as the shortest and most one-sided conflict in recorded history. Captain Junho-Oh looked at his target through the bridge windows of the UES Thunder. The Zelkari homeworld hung in space like a green and blue marble, surrounded by the most advanced defense system the aliens had ever built. Orbital stations with weapons that could destroy moons. Shield generators that could stop any attack. At least, that's what the Zelkari thought. Microjump in 3 seconds, his navigator announced. The Thunder disappeared from where it was and reappeared right next to the largest defense station. The aliens had built their defenses to stop attacks from far away. They never thought someone would just appear right next to them. Fire, Captain O said quietly. The defense station exploded before it could shoot back. The Thunder jumped away and appeared next to the next station. Then the next one. In 14 minutes, the entire defense grid was gone. That was easier than the training exercises, his weapons officer said. Real war usually is, Captain O replied. The aliens fight like it's a game with rules. We fight to win. On the planet below, the Zelkari government was in panic. Their leaders had spent the last 3 days watching their entire military disappear. Every ship, every base, every weapon factory had been turned into scrap metal by humans who appeared out of nowhere and vanished before anyone could fight back. The Zelkari Emperor called an emergency meeting. His advisors looked scared and confused. How is this possible? The Emperor demanded. Our intelligence said humans only had patrol boats. They lied to us, Your Majesty, his intelligence chief said. For 3 centuries, they have been building ships in secret. Our spies never found anything because there was nothing to find in normal space. They hid everything inside asteroids and fake mining stations. How many ships do they have? We don't know. Every time we count them, more appear. The truth was simpler than the aliens realized. Humanity had been preparing for this day since they first joined the galaxy. Every insult, every attack, every dead human had been carefully recorded. When the time came for revenge, they wanted to be ready. Commander In-suk Yoon led the marine assault on the Thakari weapons factories. Her soldiers moved through the alien facilities like ghosts, placing explosives on every machine that could make weapons. They didn't kill the workers or destroy the cities. They just made sure the Thakari could never threaten anyone again. Demolition complete, her sergeant reported. All weapons production capability eliminated. Move to the next target, Commander Yoon ordered. The Thakari had 14 major weapons factories. It took Commander Yoon's Marines 6 hours to destroy them all. When they were done, the most militaristic species in the galaxy could not build so much as a knife. Admiral Hyun Woo Shin watched the war from the bridge of the UES Judgment. His job was to coordinate all the human fleets and make sure no enemy escaped to cause trouble later. The tactical display showed the galaxy-wide battle in real time. Status report, he requested. Lieutenant Colonel Unji Lim consulted her screens. Zelkari military eliminated. Thakari weapons production destroyed. Vecton Collective has surrendered unconditionally. Gromax hegemony is begging for peace terms. Spiral Claw Federation abandoned their territory and fled to unknown space. Blue Scale Republic offered complete submission 3 days ago. Any human casualties? 17 wounded, none killed. The enemy never figured out how to fight our tactics. Admiral Shin nodded. Human military doctrine was based on a simple idea: end wars as quickly as possible with minimum loss of life. Not minimum enemy casualties, minimum human casualties. If that meant completely destroying the enemy's ability to fight back, so be it. What about the other species? He asked. Most are staying neutral and hoping we ignore them. A few have sent messages offering to help us hunt down any remaining coalition forces. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. For centuries, they had seen humanity's restraint and assumed it meant humans were weak. They never considered that it might mean humans were strong enough to choose when to use their power. On the Vecton homeworld, President Kulthara signed the surrender document with shaking hands. The human representative, Colonel Minitseo Ro, watched calmly as the alien leader gave up everything his species had built. Your military will be disbanded, Colonel Ro said. Your weapons factories will be dismantled. Any ship larger than a cargo transport will be scrapped. You will pay reparations to the families of every human killed in your attacks. This will bankrupt our entire civilization, President Kulthara protested. You should have thought of that before you murdered our children, Colonel Ro replied. The terms are non-negotiable. President Kulthara signed the papers. He had no choice. The human fleet in orbit could turn his entire world into a glass ball if he refused. In the Galactic Council chambers, emergency sessions ran day and night as species after species watched their neighbors get destroyed. The representatives who had laughed at human weakness were now terrified that the humans might come for them next. We must do something, the council leader said. Humanity has gone completely insane. What can we do? Asked the Karanti representative. They have ships we never imagined possible. They fight like machines. They show no mercy. They show exactly as much mercy as we showed their children, said a quiet voice from the back of the chamber. Everyone turned to look. It was Ambassador Talmora from the Gentle Dawn species, one of the few races that had always treated humans fairly. For 300 years, we watched humanity absorb abuse and insults and attacks, Talmora continued. We told them to be patient while their people died. We laughed when they asked for help. We celebrated when they lost their homes. The chamber was silent. Now we are surprised that they stopped being patient. Talmora shook his head. We created this monster by teaching humanity that the only way to get respect in this galaxy is through overwhelming force. He was right, and everyone knew it. 6 months after the galaxy learned what happened when humans stopped being patient, Speaker General Soyoung Bae walked into the new council chambers. Everything looked different now. The old crystal seats where aliens used to mock humanity were gone. Instead, there was a simple metal table with Earth's representative at the head. The Zelkari delegation sat in what used to be called the defendants section, but everyone just called it the apology seats now. The proud warriors who had laughed at human weakness could barely look up from the floor. Their new representative, a young diplomat named Kethma, spoke so quietly that everyone had to lean forward to hear him. The Zelkari Republic wishes to formally apologize again for our actions against New Geneva Colony, he said. We have completed the monument to the human children we killed, and we are ready to pay this month's reparations. Speaker General Bae nodded. Accepted. Next item. The Thakari representative stood up next. These were the aliens who used to brag about their warrior culture and how weak other species were. Now their military leader was a bureaucrat whose main job was explaining why his species deserved to keep existing. The Thakari clans have finished dismantling our last weapons factory, he reported. Our remaining ships are now limited to cargo and passenger transport only, as agreed. We request permission to begin construction of the Human Memorial Garden on our homeworld. Permission granted, Speaker General Bae said. But remember, any deviation from approved designs will result in immediate consequences. The Thakari representative bowed so low his head almost touched the table. At the back of the chamber, Captain Eugene Park watched the proceedings with quiet satisfaction. Her small patrol ship, the UES Guardian, was docked outside next to the massive dreadnought UES Eternal Vigil. The message was clear to everyone who saw them together: humanity still had both faces, and other species could choose which one they wanted to deal with. The Vectan Collective's turn came next. These aliens had once been so proud of their advanced technology and superior intellect. Now they were essentially a client state of humanity, allowed to exist only because they followed human rules perfectly. The collective has completed the installation of monitoring devices on all our remaining ships, their representative said. Human observers now have full access to our government communications, as required by the New Order Accords. Any problems with the observers? Speaker General BAE asked. None whatsoever. Our people are grateful for human guidance in rebuilding our civilization along more peaceful lines. It was probably true. The Vectan had seen what happened to species that continued to resist after the 18-day war. The Gromax hegemony had tried to hide weapons on their mining ships. Those ships, and the 3 worlds that built them, no longer existed. Ambassador Talmora from the Gentle Dawn species raised his hand. His people had always treated humans fairly, so they were one of the few races that still had full independence. I would like to report that the joint Human Gentle Dawn patrol fleet successfully stopped pirate attacks in Sector 12, he said. The criminals have been turned over to human authorities for justice. Excellent, Speaker General BAE said. Your people continue to demonstrate the benefits of cooperation over conflict. This was the new reality of the galaxy. Species that treated humans with respect found them to be exactly as helpful and cooperative as they had always been. Species that had abused human patience found themselves living under human rules, supervised by human observers, and paying human reparations. In the education centers throughout the galaxy, alien children learned new lessons. On the Zelkari homeworld, young students visited the memorial to the human children their ancestors had murdered. They read the names and learned about the families destroyed by Zelkari arrogance. On the Thakari worlds, warrior cubs who used to learn songs about conquest now studied human philosophy and the concept of restraint. They learned that true strength meant protecting the weak, not exploiting them. The Vectan children attended classes taught jointly by human and Vectan teachers. They learned that intelligence without wisdom led to disaster, and that their ancestors' pride had nearly destroyed their entire civilization. But it was on the neutral worlds, the ones that had watched humanity's transformation with growing fear, where the most important lessons were taught. Parents told their children about the species that had been so patient, so diplomatic, so willing to absorb punishment for the sake of peace, that everyone forgot they were dangerous. Remember, the parents would say, humans gave the galaxy 300 years to learn how to behave. They asked nicely, they negotiated fairly, they absorbed insults and attacks and murders of their children. They did everything possible to avoid what happened next. What did happen next? The children would ask. The galaxy learned that kindness is not weakness, patience is not surrender, and mercy is a gift that can be withdrawn. Speaker General BAE finished the day's session and walked to her office. Through the window, she could see human ships patrolling alongside vessels from dozens of different species. The galaxy was more peaceful now than it had been in centuries, but it was a peace based on a simple understanding. Humanity had tried being nice, and when that failed, they had shown everyone what the alternative looked like. Her communication device chimed. A message from Admiral Subin Choi on Earth: Ghost Fleet remains ready. All monitoring stations report normal activity. No signs of organized resistance to the new order. Speaker General BAE smiled. The other species thought the ghost ships had gone back into hiding after the war. They were wrong. The massive human fleet was still out there, watching, waiting, ready to remind anyone who forgot the lessons of those 18 days. The galaxy had a new motto now, carved in human script above every council chamber, every government building, every school where alien children learned about the consequences of mistaking patience for weakness. No species forgot the day humanity lost its patience. And they never would.